Battle of Passchendaele, Canada's muddy triumph. In 1917, in Belgium, one of the worst battles of World War I took place. This battle was also known as the Third Battle of Ypres, and it was one of the bloodiest, most brutal, and controversial wars in the history of World War I. It was a fight between Britain, along with French and Canadian troops, against the Germans. Britain's plan was to capture the key submarine bases on the Belgian coast. Here are the key dates. On July 31st, 1917, the British attack begins. From August to September 1917, heavy rain and constant shelling turned the battlefield into mud, which was a huge disadvantage for both sides. In October 26, 1917, Canadian troops joined the battle. On October 30th, 1917, the big Canadian attack starts. November 6, 1917, Canadians make their final push for Passchendaele village. And on November 10, 1917, Passchendaele is captured, ending the battle. Now let's go through every single thing that happened in the Battle of Passchendaele. The Canadian role was important but controversial. General Arthur Currie did not want Canadian troops involved, saying it would cost 16,000 casualties, but he had to follow orders and carefully plan the attack. Currie insisted on preparing the battlefield first, which turned out to be a huge benefit. He ordered wooden roads and small railways to be built to help move through the mud. He also made a detailed plan for using artillery to support the advancing soldiers. Currie planned a step-by-step attack in 4 parts: securing a starting position, capturing a key area called the Bellevue Spur, moving to the edge of Passchendaele, and finally, the final attack on Passchendaele village. But conditions at Passchendaele were terrible. Constant rain and shelling turned everything to mud. Soldiers often fought in waist-deep water and mud. The ground was full of water-filled holes from explosions, which could drown soldiers who fell in. Many of the wounded soldiers drowned in the mud before they could even be rescued. This was a huge disadvantage for both sides and was a crucial role for many soldiers' death. Despite these conditions, new strategies and technologies were used, starting with the creeping barrage. It was a line of shell fire, which looked like a wall, used as a shield for Canadian troops so that they could move behind it. It was originally introduced by Canadian troops and was an element of surprise for the other side as guns opened fire shortly before the assault troops moved off. It was not only essential to move troops, rather also beneficial for moving supplies and artillery. The second strategy, plank roads, was one of the most beneficial strategies for the Canadians. This strategy was constructed by Canadian engineers. It was a wooden plank road kept on the mud for Canadian troops to efficiently move to different areas of the battlefield, which prevented them from facing hardships in the mud or either drowning. It was also used for moving troops and artillery. This road was maintained and repaired under enemy fire, as it was the only way soldiers could move, as mud prevented them to do so. Third strategy was small yet effective. It was known as the small unit tactics. Smaller infantry units were made to decrease vulnerability to the enemy artillery and increase flexible and adaptive tactics to move on the battlefield. And last but not the least, strategy 4 was new and innovative artillery. There was an extensive use of poisonous gas, which was a major reason for troops being unable to see and efficiently fight. Both Germans and Canadians used gases like mustard gas and chlorine gas, which were quite deadly gases. This made many troops lose their ability of sight for the rest of their life, others with lung cancer. The human cost of this battle was staggering. The British Empire, which contained of Canada, France, Australia, and New Zealand, altogether had over 400,000 casualties. There were more than 15,600 casualties for the Canadian troops in this battle, and over 4,000 were killed. About 2,700 casualties for New Zealand, and over 400 killed. And for France, there were about 8,500 casualties, and about 217,000 to 400,000 casualties were on the German side. Many soldiers also suffered from shell shock, also known as PTSD, due to the battle's intensity, which left them mentally unstable for the rest of their lives. The aftermath and significance of Battle of Passchendaele were far-reaching. This was an overall victory for the Triple Entente, as they were able to take over Passchendaele as well as the submarine bases on the Belgian coast. It demonstrated the growing reputation of the Canadian forces as elite shock troops. The battle remains controversial due to high casualties for minimal strategic gain. Passchendaele became synonymous with the futility and horror of trench warfare. Today, the battle is commemorated at the Passchendaele Memorial in Belgium. 9 Canadian soldiers were awarded the Victoria Cross for actions during the battle. Passchendaele has been the subject of numerous books, films, and documentaries, and remains a significant part of Canadian military history and national identity. The Battle of Passchendaele stands as a testament to the courage of the Canadian Corps. Despite horrific conditions and staggering losses, Canadian soldiers achieved their objectives, further establishing Canada's reputation in the world stage. However, the battle also serves as a stark reminder of the immense human cost of war and often questionable strategic decisions that drive such